Welcome to the Football Show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Alan Ruff, Lee McCulloch, Tam McManus and myself, Peter Martin, are here, and we're delighted that you can join us on the programme today. And here's what's coming up. Steve Clarke urges Scotland to become serial qualifiers after reaching a second successive European Championships. Darren Fletcher believes Scotland can be history makers by reaching the knockout stages in Germany next summer.
Go and create history, that's what these lads should go and do, and there'll be no one more happy than me.
New Rangers boss Philippe Clement brands himself a winner as he bids to bring silverware back to Ibrox this season. David Gray reveals he'll be forever grateful to Hibs fans after an emotional testimonial game against Manchester United.
I know the minute I've signed for this football club I've had nothing but support, and I'm forever grateful for that.
Yep, there you have it. Lots to talk about, and of course when a menu finishes usually everybody just stays quiet, but just Tam hasn't really got the concept of television whatsoever, which is why he spends the majority of his time with the newspapers, and even then they get it wrong, Ruffy, because as we exclusively revealed on PLZ Soccer, and I had to tell Andy Devlin of the Sun, Philippe Clement will be the Rangers manager. You heard it here first.
Yes, sometimes you've got to make a decision, you know, and stick by it. I mean, at least Tam stuck by it for 3 weeks. Yeah,
absolutely. And of course, there was a wee bit of fluff on your nose there from being in the pocket of everybody at the Daily Record. So that's great, Tam. Brilliant. So you get it here. PLZ Soccer tells you, let's concentrate on the football, because I don't know about you, Tam, but I watched Spain-Norway. We're going to Germany. I'm really looking forward to it. But I watched Spain-Norway and I thought, for a nation that has a home game with a baying crowd expecting them to turn up, Norway were ranked rotten.
Oh, they were terrible, Peter. I think as soon as Spain scored, we were going to the Euros. I think it was one of them, that they were never coming back from that. I thought they looked scared, they looked nervous, they looked as if they had no belief to actually get a result against Spain. They didn't get after them at all. Haaland was cut a frustrated figure up front, he wasn't getting any service. And they just went out with a whimper. I don't think they're going to even get in the playoffs now. So, not a great result for us. Probably a lot of people might have fancied a draw more, because it would have gave us a chance to finish top of the group. I think Spain will finish top now. I think they've got Georgia and Cyprus. The last 2 games they'll take 6 points. But listen, we're there, that's the main thing. And we're looking forward to the draw. We'll be second seed. So top 2 go through. We've got every opportunity to finally get through a group stage at Euros.
Yeah, I mean, they had some good players. I mean, they're calling this the golden generation of Norwegian football. They're not going to the tournament, Ruffy.
No, I mean, as I said on Friday, I was beginning to worry, obviously, with getting the points against Spain. I actually thought, like you, Norway were beginning to get their act together, and I had a wee sneaking feeling they maybe would beat Spain. And then obviously with Georgia winning 4-0, that's them thinking they're back on it as well. So the thought of actually going to Georgia and trying to get something was beginning to worry me. But no, you're right, Spain did all they needed to do, and we're there, and it's brilliant.
It's absolutely fantastic. And of course, second consecutive European Championships. A word for the manager, Lee?
I think it's brilliant. He's got to go down as one of the best ever, back to back. Tremendous achievement. I think we'll go there, and knowing the Tartan Army, they'll go and enjoy it. But is there expectation now to get out the grips?
Yeah, well, I mean, that would be absolutely fantastic. Listen, let's not jump too far ahead. Let's just work out. Let's work out where we're staying.
Where's the final, Peter? Where's the final? Can we get tickets?
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to us going, Ruffy, but I'm thinking to myself, I'm dreading the possibility of us actually qualifying out of the group, because that's another week.
It certainly is, you know, but the supporters will be loving it. I mean, I'm sure they'll all be booking up as we speak, but the travel agents, the flights to Germany are probably through the roof as well. So, but they'll be there, they're always there. They're fantastic for the whole nation.
Yeah, absolutely. Our reporter Patrick Mullins sums it all up for Scotland heading to Germany.
Scotland have qualified for Euro 2024 thanks to Spain's 1-0 victory over Norway last night. That means they will be packing their bags and heading to Germany this summer. Scotland were drawn in Group A for the Euro qualifiers against Spain, Norway, Georgia and Cyprus. Steve Clarke's side kicked off their qualification in style with a 3-0 victory over Cyprus back in March, thanks to goals from Scott McTominay, Ryan Porteous and John McGinn. This was followed up by a shock 2-0 victory over Spain here at Hampden, and that was thanks to a double by Scott McTominay. In June, Scotland pulled off another shock victory, this time away to Norway. They won 2-1 thanks to goals from Lyndon Dykes and Kenny McLean. Just 3 days later, Scotland had another win under their belts, this time a 2-0 victory over Georgia thanks to goals from Callum McGregor and that man again, Scott McTominay. In September, Steve Clarke's side were 3-0 winners against Cyprus, goals coming from Ryan Porteous, Scott McTominay once again and John McGinn. VAR played a huge role in Scotland's first defeat in the European qualifiers, that one coming at the hands of Spain. They lost 2-0, but Scott McTominay's wonder strike from a free kick was ruled out for offside. But Scotland's passage to Germany in the summer was completed just 3 days later when Spain defeated Norway 1-0. Steve Clarke's side will finish off the qualifications in November with an away game against Georgia and finishing here at home against Norway. Speaking after Scotland's qualification to Euro 2024 was confirmed, Steve Clarke talked about the progress that his side has made, saying in 2020 he wanted his team to become serial qualifiers, and after doing that for back-to-back times, it shows the progress the team has made.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, those games, Ruffy. The significant one for me that I think really instilled the belief in everybody. Of course, Spain was up there, but away in Norway was a big result as well.
The late goals in Norway were a turning point. I think they two games in particular were the turning point. The only thing about all these stats there, the most obvious thing is there's no strikers scoring goals. And that's the only thing I think we're missing. It's the only thing that's going to take us to another level. Midfielders are all scoring goals, which is great. You always look for that. But a top-class striker on form, scoring goals will take you a wee bit further.
I think we've got to celebrate the positives. I understand where Ruffy's coming from because he's been in so many World Cup squads where he knows that the strikers can get you goals. In fact, of the 3 World Cup tournaments that you were at, Ruffy, boy, did we have some great strikers. I mean, can you just get through them for the benefit of Lee, who was in primary school, in primary 4?
You obviously Dalglish, Jordan, you know, and moving on, you've got Andy Gray, you've got all the guys playing at the top, Stevie Archibald playing with Archibald, with Barcelona, you know, top class. And even moving on, you get wee Morris and all these
Charlie
boys.
Nicholas.
Charlie Nicholas, you've got Graham Sharp, you know,
Maka,
you've got tons of them, and they kept going out. And your favourite, wee Paul Sturrock, did his fair bit as well. So it just shows you that, you know, sometimes it's there and sometimes it's not there. You know, I know the boys we've got just now. I'm looking at them, Dykes and the boys, Shea Adams and them, and I'm looking, going, they're no long term. They're not going to be piling in goals for us. So maybe we just have to be happy with midfielders.
Yeah, maybe we've just got to look at it and say, by the way, with a team ethic, well organised, they pass the ball well, maybe we just have to say to ourselves, well, listen, this is what we've got. And Shea Adams and Lyndon Dykes, they just chase everything.
It's the hard work ethic, isn't it, that they too bring. They've scored goals, but not to a prolific level, as Ruffy's saying, but if they're doing all the hard work and maybe laying the ball off and setting up goals for the midfielders, then we're there. No, let's just go and enjoy it, as you said earlier. But I think it'd be ideal to have somebody like Ali McCoist or somebody up front.
I missed it, Ali, sorry.
Or somebody up front that puts the ball in the back of the net. But I think while we're scoring goals, even the centre-halves are getting on the end of set plays and stuff, looking a threat. I think we're in an obvious good place, back-to-back qualification. Let's go and have a go. And
the thing is, Peter, as well, you know, it is a team ethic, and we're not reliant on one player. You know, look at Norway last night. If Haaland doesn't score, if he doesn't play well, they're poor. You know, so we're not reliant on one player, and we've got goals from all angles. You know, defenders, midfielders. You know, Jordan McGinn, McTominay, they can pick up goals as well. So, no, I think the team ethic, you know, is the biggest part and the best part of our Scotland team at the minute, is that spirit we've got.
Yeah, and the other aspect of this, which I don't think we can rule out either, I mean, if you look at the strikers that potentially could be pushing their way towards the tournament when it kicks off, we've mentioned Lyndon Dykes, and I like Dykes because I think he absolutely gets it, Lee. And do you know what he reminds me of? He could easily have fitted into that 2007-2008 team because of his work ethic as well. All of them could, you know, because your guys had that great work ethic and were a whisker away.
We did we had the work ethic, the togetherness, just as they've got. But Lyndon Dykes, Shea Adams, they're not bad players. they play in a different way. They're stretching the game. They need to hold it up. When you're only playing with one striker, it can be deemed as a graveyard shift. You'll know you've been there. It's such a hard position to play. But if there's everybody running about you is contributing to the game and getting points for the squad and the country, then I don't really think we can argue. And you've still got Kevin Nisbet as well. There's Lauren Shanklin, proven goal scorer. I'm not saying they're going to go and make a dent in the Euros, but they add to that ethic and the balance in the squad, the togetherness and everybody pulling in the one direction. They don't mind working their
socks off as well.
Socks off.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't worry, I'll keep you right. The only thing I was going to say, look at it all there. I mean, Ryan Christie, again, same work ethic. Jacob Brown could play his way into it. I mean, one guy, Ben Doak, I fully believe that he will be one of the squad members that he might take because it gives us another option.
He needs to play him in the next couple of games. I think you need to have a look at him before the Euros. You can't just throw him into a tournament. You've got to have a look at him. We've got a perfect opportunity now. You know, in my opinion, we're going to finish second, but throw him in. Norway at home and Georgia away. There you go. Bring him on for 20 minutes or whatever, or start him. I don't know. He's the one player that could be a wee bit of magic for us. He could be something different. Look at all the players there. They're quite similar. I think Shanklin, Nisbet, Dykes, Adams, they're all good age, 28, 27, 28, peak of their career, but they're all kind of similar. We've not got somebody with that electric pace that can go by somebody, and Ben Doak could be the player that gives you that wee bit of stardust at the Euros. Yeah. We've got to have a look at him first, Peter.
I would take him.
I think
I'd love him to get some games from Liverpool.
We don't see him enough, but everybody that talks about him is talking. He's the next big one. You know, the same as we spoke about Billy Gilmore. We all thought he was going to be forcing in, be a regular. I'm sure he still will play a part, but yeah, it's great to see the young kids coming through. But I think the most important thing is we're there. You know, and if you could constantly get there, you're challenging yourself against, you know, the big sides, the Germanys, the Italys, and you're in a group where once you've been there and you've experienced what level you need to be at, the next time it comes around, people are more determined to get there again.
When you look at the standings, Ruffy, of Scotland there, I think the other thing is Tam reckons we're definitely going to finish second. When you see that group, obviously now Spain are in the box seat there, so they can't afford any slip-ups in their remaining couple of games. We've got Georgia and we've got Norway at home.
Well, as I said, the Georgia one, you know, we were in Georgia the last time, you know, and unfortunately we got beat 2-0. I don't think that's the case now. As we've already discussed, I think we're a better organised team now. I don't think anybody's going to run over the top of us. I think we're going to be competitive. We're going to be really hard to beat. If you're going to beat us, you better be on your game, because Stevie Clarke's got them so organised and they believe now that they can go into games. Okay, England beat us quite comfortably, but that's another level. Yeah. You know, the teams that we're going to come up against, we're doing well with. Yeah, Steve Clarke, I think, was keen to highlight the fact in some of his quotes about what they've achieved, and maybe the players won't quite realise what they've achieved. This is what he had to say. I'm not sure they'll fully realise the significance of their achievement yet, but to qualify for successive Euros after more than 20 years is phenomenal and testament to their hard work. I would also like to thank the fans who have packed Hampden and made it a place to be feared again. And that goes back, Lee, to basically, I know we do moan about Hampden and what we'd like to see happen with it, but I think the one key element is if you've got a good team, it creates an atmosphere. Definitely. I think the place has been bouncing, and he's right there. The Tartan Army, if you give them something to go on, they'll jump all the way, and I think they've done that. Even in away games, you see the following. But I think making Hampden a fortress again is, again, a difficult place to play, especially for the opposition teams, regardless who they are. Yeah. You beat Spain 2-0. I know. It's fantastic. I mean, here's Steve Clarke's quotes on, obviously, us qualifying as well, and I think everybody appreciates the work that he's doing. They played a key part in our success, the fans, and they can now look forward to making their plans for Germany. I said after Euro 2020 that we wanted to be serial qualifiers again, and reaching successive Euro finals shows the progress we've made. Absolutely. And I think everybody realises the value of Steve Clarke and what he's brought to it, and I think he deserves the credit and the plaudits that's coming his way. No, absolutely, Peter. I think at the very start of his reign, I remember a game against, I think maybe in Cyprus at home, where who was a big boy played up front for went to Germany.
come on and scored the late goal, a late winner. Can't even remember his name now. He came on and scored the late winner, and there was a few murmurings about Steve Clarke, and he's maybe too negative for this team in Scotland. But I think once he got a settled group of players, a settled group of 12, 15 that he could rely on, we've just kicked on. And to get to 2 Euros, the big game with Serbia away, you know, I think that broke the seal in terms of us qualifying. You know, a lot of people would have thought, oh, glorious failure again, penalty shoot, we're not winning here. And we won that, and I think that's gave us so much confidence going forward. And he's right, we need to be serial qualifiers now, because we've got a lot of players playing at a high level, like top clubs. You know, Arsenal's, Man United, you know, Brighton, you know, good levels in England, and we've got to be qualifying every tournament now, Peter, because we're now in that seeding where we're now getting into an island group. You know, Ireland get France and Holland. That was us for a number of years. Now we're maybe getting one big team. We've got Spain. So if you're in the top 2 and you maybe can finish second behind the big team, then that's going to give you so much confidence going forward to qualify all the time.
I know you're part of that SFA coaching team, but should we be paying tribute to the SFA? Because as we look at the grassroots and the ability for clubs also to invest in youngsters and get them to a certain standard, we have switched away from that wondering what league they're playing in to seeing a lot of our players, as Tam highlighted, playing, you know, in England, and we've got top players up here as well. I mean, should we pay tribute to the whole organisation, the structure of what they've done? Because we moan when it's not right, Ruffy.
No, it doesn't matter what club you're at or country. You love seeing young players coming through. You love seeing them getting a chance. I would like the ones that Tam are coaching and coming through spend a wee bit more time in Scotland, because they all seem to be getting taken away down to England. They're not breaking through right away. So more games under their belt before they move, I think, would be a good thing. But as Tam said there, if you're down in England and you're playing with a top team, you're only making yourself a better player.
Yeah, I was going to say...
Buck, sorry.
Ollie Burke, was it annoying your head? Yeah, Ollie Burke. I always think Ollie Burke. I just think multi-millionaire. Multi-millionaire. That many moves. And I think, and I'm not doing him a disservice. I think he might struggle to get into our sixes team on a Friday. Because there's a heavy touch in our game. I think Ollie might actually struggle to get in there. But nevertheless, I'm talking about the overall structure. The SFA's put it in place, Ruffy. We moaned and criticised when we were looking at the grassroots and how it was not coming through. And slowly but surely, now it's a long, long wait. I have to say, 20 years is a long wait. But I would love to be able to take that next step, as Tam was mentioning there, maybe getting in a group and going. The World Cup would be fantastic, wouldn't it? Oh,
the World Cup's a big one. That's it. I mean, but you've got to challenge yourself at other tournaments first, and being there 2 in a row. Unfortunately, the last one was in COVID. There was nobody there in the grounds, for the players to accept. They'll really experience what it's like to be a massive tournament now, with the support that's going to be there, and the teams you might get drawn against will just make it even better. But I'm sure that'll be the target, a World Cup. I don't know where the next World Cup is, but it's not far away.
Oh, you could find it out.
It's America and Canada.
Yeah.
Oh,
they're sharing it with
I think maybe Mexico's
over
Mexico, and it's over there.
Would you be happy going there, Ruffy?
And sure.
You don't. You look at Ruffy. Ruffy's wondering, is he going to be here?
You'll be here. You'll be snuffed.
I was thinking there's a World Cup going to be in over in South America. Sorry, not South America. Africa. North Africa.
Yeah, rugby?
No, it's football.
It's not. I'm pretty certain it's
Can I just say
Canada,
something?
America, Mexico.
Listen, the key issue here... He's gone. Anyway, the key issue here...
There's a World Cup.
2030. We'll be dead.
It's going to be Morocco. Morocco's getting a World Cup.
You are a nasty piece of work, I have to say to you, by the way. The fact of the matter is, Ruffy, do you know what's great?
You're not getting an invite at the funeral.
Do you know the great thing? And I have to be honest about it, Ruffy. The great thing is...
I'm pretty certain I'm right here.
I'm looking forward to it. Do you know why? Because we're going... I mean, are you available? Because I know what you like. You like your 2026, Canada, Mexico, and the United States. And 2030 is Morocco, Portugal, and Spain.
Thank you.
Okay.
You were right. That was...
English ones at Euro.
Argentina, Paraguay and Uruguay 2030 hosts.
Yeah, I think we're 2028 and it's all over the place.
Yeah, UK and Ireland. It's 2028. But the fact, I need to establish it now, Ruffy.
I blocked the month. Well,
blocked it.
Probably just be a fortnight, but we'll block the month anyway.
Yeah, by the way, the other good thing I was going to say to you is we are going there, Lee, on the base. If you have a look at the key games, you mentioned that we don't have strikers, but if you look at the key fixtures here for Scotland, the one thing that I have to say when you look at those stats is that, boy, it was great to have Scott McTominay on for him, wasn't it?
I think he's been the golden boy of this campaign. Even when he's not scoring, he's looking like scoring. He's a phenomenal football player, and I think his confidence levels have risen since probably the first he got his goal in the campaign. And it just shows you what he's done, even down playing in the Europa final. It was the UEFA Cup final with Man United. I think they won it. They're just. I think he's ready to kick on. He's not getting a game for his club. He's got to come on as a sub and score 2 the other weekend, didn't he? At the last minute. He's a phenomenal talent. But we need our players going into this Euro campaign playing week in, week out for their clubs. So hopefully something can turn with him and he starts getting a run of games.
There is absolutely no point, I might as well tell you, Ruffy, of us actually booking ahead of time any venue, because here are all the venues, as you can see, for the championships, and I have to say it's scattered all over the place. And if we go too early and book somewhere, we'll be at the other end of Germany somewhere. Olympia Stadion, Munich, BVB Stadion, which is of course Borussia Dortmund, Stuttgart Arena, Arena auf Schalke, Volkspark Stadion, Hamburg, Cologne, Düsseldorf, Frankfurt and Leipzig. I think we're going to have to take it down to the wire, Ruffy. Now, the only thing I was going to say to you about that is, do we book flights and accommodation, or do we book a PLZ tour bus where there are beds on the bus?
That is a thought. I think we've got to concentrate on the venue first. I
think the PLZ bus would be something.
That would be the best.
That would be brilliant.
It really would be, wouldn't it? I mean, can you imagine a PLZ bus?
He's too much a snob. He wants a 4-poster bed and all that. Just sleep in a single bed.
Jig, I know from
9 gins in him.
I know from your point, there's a level of a decision here based on the people that we deal with, right? Now, obviously, the reporters are obviously going to be keen to have their own space, but you know, Lee was used to with Motherwell mucking in there, you know, maybe cleaning the boots. Then he gets his big move. You know, you've Wigan, you've Rangers, you've been Scotland, you've been lifted and laid everywhere you've gone, but now you're back to your roots. Yes. So you could handle the bus
easily. The
bus would be all right.
I could sleep my couch easily.
So
no problem for me.
Tam, no problem, because obviously Tam's from the Ned area where he lives, so he'll be fine with a bus. There's no problem there, and the rest of the crew would be great. It's just you.
How many's on this bus?
Eh?
How many's on the bus?
I don't know. 8 to 10.
20?
8 to 10.
8 to 10.
Okay. 8 to 10 is good. It's like a spinal tap to a
double decker.
It'll be great, won't it, Tom?
I think that'll be once in a lifetime. I think that'd be some laugh.
Absolutely. It would be great for the first week. Then the second week, when the trouble kicks in and we're not really getting on with each other. But can we go to Germany and then start dreaming, as Lee was earlier? Darren Fletcher, I spoke to him yesterday at David Gray's testimonial, and he reckons it's time for the Scotland squad to create a little bit of history.
I genuinely think they can do that, and I think that should be the goal. Listen, not putting any pressure on them, but I think this team are capable, especially if they qualify and get in a good seeding position. I think they're capable of getting out of a group, and as you say, go and create history. That's what these lads should go and do, and there'll be no one more happy than me. No Scotland team's ever got out of a group stage at a major tournament. That should be their ambition. I'm sure they'll downplay it and say it's great to be there, but when they're there, they should definitely be ambitious. But I hope if it does get there and they don't, nobody holds it against them, because it'll be amazing when they get there. But for me, I think they're capable of doing it, and that should be their goal.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's ever the optimist.
Just a pity somebody like him never got here. You know, a major tournament. Done everything at club level. And
man.
I know.
He was
a top player, wasn't he?
I played with him in Scotland, but he was some player. Same with Barry, some player. They deserve, him and Barry, I think, I'm touching on what you mean, they deserve to went and played tournaments because they were that good.
If you think of 20 years though, 20 years since, I mean, the 1998 World Cup with Craig Brown leading that team, and the players that played there were a couple of really top drawer players, but the rest of the squad had that same feel of what Steve Clarke's got now. You know, you look at that '98 squad. I mean, Darren Jackson was in there. I think Gordon Jury, Paul Lambert, Colin Hendry was there. John Collins was there.
Yep.
You know, a lot of really good players. Kevin Gallagher as well.
Aye.
So there was a really good togetherness. It was like a club squad. You know what I mean? And he's got that same thing now.
That's what he's got to know. That's what Steve's got to know. And I think you need that. Like any organisation in business, they need a bit of togetherness.
Yeah.
But I think it shows more when you go behind in the game. That's where the togetherness comes out and you grind out the results. But it's brilliant to see.
Yeah.
That's what the Tartan Army's got as well. That's what they pride themselves on.
Yeah.
Hard work ethic and just go and they go out and have a right go when they're away from home.
Yeah, but they're not there. The one thing I would say, and people can, have their own debate on how many of the Tartan Army are made up of Celtic or Rangers fans, but the majority are made up of fans who don't get the chance to go to Champions League, Europa League, Europa Conference. But I'll tell you one thing they don't do, and they don't go to places and rip it up.
No, the Tartan Army are brilliant. They well behaved. All right, they go and have a swallow and enjoy themselves, but they're no in fights. They're no right in the place, as you said, Peter. And they're superb fans. And just come back to that '98 squad, they were brilliant, and they had two top goalkeepers. Well, probably two of the best goalkeepers that Scotland have ever had, in Jim Leighton and Andy Gorham. Yeah, absolutely. They would have been top if it hadn't been for Ruffy. Shut at you, right?
It's important that we do go to competitions. I mean, if I told you I've been to 3 consecutive World Cups.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know that.
They were consecutive as well. They were every 4 years.
And to be fair, Ruffy, if I'm going to be brutally honest with you, the last person to obviously cast doubt and tarnish your name, he just get emptied. We just emptied him eventually, didn't we? I mean, yeah.
We're talking about you.
His mate. Just anybody, anybody that tarnishes your record, questions that gets emptied.
Was he having a go?
Not all the time.
So, I mean, I was just looking at the '98 squad, which is absolutely unbelievable.
You missed it, Tosh.
Tosh was a good day. Yeah. Jim Leighton, Jackie McNamara, Tam Boyd, Tosh McKinley, Colin Hendry, Colin Calderwood, Kevin Gallagher, Craig Burley, Gordon Jury, Neil Sullivan, John Collins, Darren Jackson, Simon Donnelly, Paul Lambert, Scott Gemmell, Matty Elliott, remember him? Billy McKinley, David Weir. David Weir was a great player. Derek White, Scott Booth, Jonathan Gould, and Christian Daly. I mean,
would that hazard just a guess here that are probably wrong? Would the percentage of players that are in our team now all play down in England compared to maybe 50-50 what you read out there?
Yeah, I mean, you're the strong.
A lot more playing in Scotland for that group.
Yeah, I remember John Collins had moved on. I think he was maybe at Everton at that point. So you're more than a few that were playing down south, but a good mix. And now we're looking forward to it. Obviously, we've got a friendly coming up tomorrow against France. Aaron Hickey, Andy Robertson out injured. Little bit of a worry for them. Great time for Max Johnson, who's been handed his first call up.
Delighted for him. Obviously, I worked for him at Braidhurst at the performance school, Alan's boy. Probably, I've been doing there for 4 or 5 years. Probably the best attitude I've seen from any kid that's come through. Wow. And that's going to carry him a long way. He's a good player, but he wants to learn. He listens. He wants to learn. As Jig will tell you, that's half the battle. I mean, the kids they're listening and they're taking on board. But you're trying to help them. And brilliant with Motherwell. Went away on loan, I think, to Cove and done well. Come back to Motherwell. Excellent. Young player of the year. And I think a brave move to go to Sturm Graz. I think he could have went to England, could have went to the Championship or whatever and maybe disappeared. He's went to Sturm Graz, different culture. And hopefully goes over there and prospers and then, gets a move, somewhere else in Europe. But fantastic attitude, very, very good player and I'm delighted for him. Delighted for him and his family as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, the only blow, Robertson. Andy, I hope he'll recover in time.
That was a Saurian. I hate goalies that do that, Jig. I don't. Away with murder goalies come out and do that. Honestly, Ruffy, shocking. the ball bounces and goalies just come out with their knee and just
never keep the striker out. Anybody.
Ruffy never came out for a cross ball. as I said,
out, the chances of getting hurt. Why come out? Let somebody else deal with it.
And I have to say, Lee, when you get guys like Gordon McKean standing in front of you, sticking out for a cross, exactly. Okay, Philippe Clement is the new Rangers boss. Your immediate reaction?
I haven't really got one. Let's wait and see. I think when
Are you excited?
I think I'm probably more excited than I was when I seen the list of candidates, put it that way. So he might come in and hit the ground running. He might come in and want to change a little bit of the culture that's already there. So it might take him a little bit of time, but we all know you don't get time at the big clubs. So it's a wait and see. I think, yes, probably more excited than when I seen the list of candidates that was there before.
Yeah, you've actually surprised me. You're a wee bit reserved about it, you know?
I think everybody needs to, let's wait and see what happens and how it goes. And his number 2, is he bringing in his number 2 with him?
Yep.
Stephen van der Heyden. I just read. Yeah,
absolutely. That's you doing the tam there as if you were full of knowledge, but it's really just a vacuum. He's obviously won titles before. Didn't quite work out for him at Monaco, but nevertheless, he has got a big dilemma, which is, first of all, his main job right now is twofold. Work with the squad he's got and try and transform it, get something out of them, Ruffy, win the League Cup. That will buy him, you know, that chance to say, right, now I'm building, and then make the changes, and then get to January, and hopefully the board has got some cash for him to duck and dive.
Yeah, that seems to be the main reason why he got the job, was winning titles, because that's all I keep hearing is he's won titles, and obviously Rangers' objective is to win titles, you know, and if you bring in a manager who has that in his makeup, you know, you would like to think, well, there's a good chance he'll do it again, but as Lee said there, you have to wait and see. I think the big bonus for him is he's got that semi-final coming up, where they should, if they get the final, chance of winning a cup, which would get him on board with every supporter.
He's got to win that cup.
He's got to win that cup. Yeah, he can't, and he'll get away with. You know, I think we all realise now there are some certain players that Rangers shouldn't be in the team. You know, so as you say, he's got to move them on. How easy that'll be to move them on, but again, what you're saying is it's the money side of it. You know, Celtic keep splashing that cash that they've got, you know, and bring in better players. Rangers always seem to be just that wee bit behind.
Yeah, Philippe Clement, this is what he had to say about his appointment as the Rangers manager. I want to win everything in everything I do, so that is the mentality I want to give my players. I want to convince them also about their own qualities. I see there is more quality in this team than they are showing at the moment. I'm a football animal, so I've watched all the games from this season over the last couple of days. It has been busy. I look at the wall here and all the titles the club has won. Those are the things I love because I'm a winner and I want to win trophies, and I think that's everything that every Rangers fan wants to hear, Tam.
Yeah, it is. Unless he's got a good record as a manager, I think you know, winning 3 titles in Belgium proves that he's got what it takes. I think that's important. You know, Michael Beale never had that as a manager. I think this guy coming in is more experienced. He's won titles. He knows what it takes to get a team to win a league. You won 3 in a row. Okay, it didn't quite work out in Monaco, but it didn't do a bad job. I think they finished sixth in the French league, and if you look at the French league, it's very competitive. A lot of good teams in there. PSG win it every year, and you've Marseille and Lille and Lens, so there's good teams in there. So I think he's got a good pedigree, but as Lee said, the proof will be in the pudding. You know, he's got a home game to start against Hibs at the weekend. If he goes and wins that, then you know, all of a sudden he's a wee bit of confidence back behind the club and back behind the team. If they go out and they drop points again, then you know, he's got a real big job in his hands. So he's just got to get off to a good start, I think, and get the supporters on board with him.
Yeah, absolutely. And then try and get a trick out of everybody. But listen, it's a 3.5-year deal, Ruffy. So the board have shown faith in him. Interestingly enough, John Bennett quotes about using Graham Souness in the process. Philippe Clement's appointment comes at the end of a carefully planned and comprehensive recruitment process. A team led by our CEO James Bisgrove, members of the board and former Rangers manager Graham Souness spent the last 10 days interviewing several high calibre candidates. Philippe proved to be the outstanding candidate across all the key criteria, reinforced by his track record of winning titles. Okay, so
Yep.
Graham helped in the
Yeah,
process.
I don't think that's a bad thing to bring somebody in with the tradition he had, obviously at Rangers when he was there, and obviously what he'd done in the game. I'm sure he had a lot of good ideas at the interviews. So I'd just be interested to see now that he's done there whether he comes back to the club in some kind of role. I know it was muted that he was going to come back in some kind of role, but he didn't like what he was being offered at the time. So I would be interested to see if he comes back for maybe a bigger part to play and things going forward.
They're looking for a Scottish coach, aren't they, Rangers? I think the manager said they were looking for some sort of, or the manager's looking for a Scottish coach alongside the boy that you mentioned.
It won't be Graham.
No, it won't be Graham Souness, but
no.
As I said, I'd be interested in who they bring in as a Scottish coach. I think that's important as well.
Yeah, I just wonder. I don't see the value other than some kind of ambassadorial token. Getting someone on who absolutely understands and loves the
Director of football, Peter, could he do that?
I think ambassadorial role.
So do I.
I think director of football. He's got knowledge. He's been a manager, fantastic player. I just think it's too modern day in my opinion.
Too big a workload.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, incredible.
Too big a workload for a guy.
Yeah.
I think his advice will be invaluable, especially for a board that maybe doesn't have the experience of previous Rangers boards of the past.
Yeah.
I'm talking 20 years ago.
I've known what the club's all about and the ethics and the way that it's been set up. We're winning things where you play people like Sandy Jardine and John Gregg obviously still being there, but it's just, I think for Graham Souness to be the director of football, let's say, that there's a lot more jobs than the director of football has to do other than just a recruitment phase. They need to go in medical area. There's a whole vast number of jobs that come underneath that role. So I think maybe he'll just be there as a sort of advisor to the board.
If indeed they bring him on.
If they bring him on.
He might just have been in that consultant role for that period only to see if they can get someone whose job, just before we move on, Ruffy, is quite simple. Regardless of what he's won before, I still go back to the main point, which I think will become also evident, is if he's a good coach, he's got to try and get the best out of them, and he's got to try, with a lot of time left, to stop Celtic winning the title, for Rangers to win the title. And I think he's up against it on two fronts. He's got a top coach that he's up against, and he's got a club that's financially far stronger than them.
Yeah, well, that's obvious, with the figures that Celtic throw out there, But again, we're waiting to see whether Brendan Rodgers is going to demand some of that cash. I think how they do in the Champions League will determine where they kick on in January. If it's a disappointing Champions League, he might be champing that door saying, here, this is the kind of money I need to take us a bit further. That could be a problem for Rangers. But I think the biggest problem for me for Rangers are the likes of Aberdeen and Hibs and Hearts have got their act together now. So they could be the teams as well who will be putting a wee bit of pressure on Rangers as well. But as Lee said, they're winning that cup. If he comes in and he wins that cup, that's at least 3 or 4 months,
Grace.
Yeah, I actually think, they would want to win the cup because Celtic are out of it. But I actually think when a board gives you a 3.5-year deal, there's got to be a long-term plan and a long-term structure as well that suddenly, maybe gives the academy players the chance to see a pathway and also develop and make players better than they are. He's got to be able to do that as well as bringing in the players that he knows from outside.
I think so. It's been a while since a player or players have come through the youth system at Ibrox and went to kick on. Nathan Patterson probably being the latest one, but other than that, it's not really a conveyor belt. Which, when you look at compare it to Celtic, and you've got your McGregors and Tierney's and them coming through, Forrest. So there would maybe be more, but I think what we've seen when the last manager left, and Davo and your Stevie Smith took over, you've seen young players given a chance and they've done well, and the fans love that. Yeah. So I agree with you. I think he's going to need to address putting in some youth, probably for now to the next transfer window. because there will be players there that he doesn't fancy.
Yeah.
So they'll need to get rid of him.
Absolutely. From the Rangers' current squad to a legend of the past, and I think today quite an emotional day for some people of a certain vintage who will remember Jim Forrest. 145 goals in 163 games for Rangers. Sadly passed away in the last couple of weeks at the age of 79, and the funeral cortege passed by Ibrox today, and I think you know, lots of people would have been looking on from afar who maybe didn't get the chance to get to Ibrox, but Patrick Mullen was there to watch the cortege pass by with Jim Forrest.
I'm here at Ibrox this morning as the funeral cortege for the great Jim Forrest is making its way past Ibrox this morning. There are fans here paying their respects to one of Rangers' most prolific strikers in the post-war era. I'll move out the way and let you take it all in.
Yeah, sad day for anyone who remembers Jim Forrest. Prolific amount of goals as well in his time, Ruffy. You obviously would know him slightly better than us. Yeah,
just before me, but I remember the team that he was in, and I remember him doing an article, and I think some of the older members will remember that when Berwick Rangers beat them 1-0, him and Big George McLean were made the sort of a scapegoats for that particular game, and the two of them never played again, you know, for whatever reason. But I saw an article that he did. He said he's got his own views on what happened to him at Rangers, but he would never ever say anything against the club that he loved. And that says a lot about him.
Yeah, absolutely. And players that play for a club with distinction and then, of course, embrace that club over a period of years brings us nicely on to the next man, David Gray. Around 7,000 fans made their way to Easter Road yesterday. I was there to watch the testimonial between some Hibs legends and a Manchester United select. It was a game of missed opportunities, and then it was written in the stars, Tam, because Scott Brown crosses the ball, and there's David Gray inside the he's inside the 6-yard area to slide it into the net.
And he slide tackled it into the net as well,
yeah.
which is David Gray as well. But no, listen, I'm glad. I think they were a wee bit worried about the ticket sales earlier in the week, but the final push towards yesterday, and they got the 7,000. I think that's a decent turnout for who is an absolute club legend. I think he scored the most important goal probably in the club's history, that header against Rangers. He'll never be forgotten. He'll get a job for life, you know, at Hibs if he wants to stay at Hibs. So delighted he get an opportunity. I'm delighted that the fans got an opportunity to say thank you to him for scoring that goal, because it was a long time coming, over 100 years, as we know. So no, brilliant. And a lot of the money was going to charity as well, going to great causes. And I looked at some of the players who were there. Some of them are in decent shape, could still play. Scott Brown supposedly was very good yesterday, and others not so much, but no, it was all about just turning up and paying tribute to a great servant for Hibs.
Yeah. Still enough about Grant Holt and Conrad Logan, who were there, who played in the game.
Conrad kept his shape.
He's exactly.
Grant Holt's all right though, isn't he? The polar bear. Grant Holt's a big boy, but he doesn't look like that fives that we played this season.
I was going to say to you.
Were you?
Grant Holt.
A few goals, that didn't
Logan. You know, the big man, the economy of movement, but still get the touch. You know, it's as simple as that. But it was a good day. I like the nostalgia of it all. And David's such a brilliant lad. I mean, he's had a fantastic year. I was lucky enough to host his testimonial because obviously David wanted the top guy instead of some of the minor ones that Tam works with.
Yeah. I mean that's.
there's no argument there.
Within his price range.
Yeah. Anyway, I have to say, David, at the end of the game, as ever, well appreciative of the people who turned out for him.
It's a very expensive time in the world at the moment. It's an expensive time to be a Hibs supporter at the moment, with semi-finals of the Cup coming up and travelling in Europe, home and away, and the support we've had all over the place with there. So, you know, it's a very expensive time. So I'm so grateful for absolutely everyone who's supported this event, and the ones that couldn't be here. That I know the minute I've signed for this football club, I've had nothing but support, and I'm forever grateful for that.
Brilliant. Aye, you would have been great if you'd have been there, Ruffy, for a bit. You don't go anywhere unless you've got a starter, a main course, and a soup.
And you don't get comps at a testimonial, Ruffy.
I don't know how many Hall of Famers were at there. Hibs Hall of Famers, that was that.
Well, he's a cert to be a Hall of Famer, isn't he?
Why Tom wasn't he asking him?
Yeah.
It was just a time at Hibs.
Well, I have to say it was great because you know they had the Guard of Honour, sorry, I couldn't even think about it there. Guard of Honour, and it was great to see David and his wife and his kids coming out for it. It was a special day, really good to see, and good to see some great players from on both sides strutting their stuff. Of course, we heard from Darren Fletcher. Darren Fletcher looks as if he'd still play now, Lee, and you played alongside him. How good was he?
He was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. He was probably younger than our sort of core group in that group, but somebody that we all looked up to.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, so for being a young boy, everybody looked up to him. Tremendous player, but even better man.
Yeah, absolutely. He is a great lad, isn't he? Great ambassador for Manchester United.
He is. He's so down to earth as well. I've played with him in Scotland 21s on a number of occasions, and he's running about my age group. And I thought he was a terrific player and a real down to earth guy.
Yeah,
coming from a big club.
Yep, absolutely. Fantastic. And a great day was had by one and all at the David Gray testimonial. I think, I'm not sure if he's in it already, but I think he would be in that Hall of Fame at some point, or I think he must be in it right now.
He'd be in it the day after he scored that goal.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they wouldn't have waited to the next award ceremony.
And the strange thing about it is that although he scores the goal, and he was there 7 years at the club, although he scores the goal, when you look back at the Hibs side that actually defeated Rangers that day, I mean, there were so many players. You know, Stokes was in the side, Liam Henderson was in the side. They were on
the championship team as well.
It was a championship side. John McGinn was in the middle of the park with them.
So there's good players there.
I mean, it's incredible the amount of players who played in that, who, you know, some have moved on to better
What a youth
careers.
system they've had. Hibs, haven't they? Your Kevin Thompsons and your Brunies, Whitakers. There's loads. Reardon, if you go back to O'Connor. There's really McManus. You come through. Did you come through?
I did. I thought it was a gag at the end of that there.
No, not at all. What I mean is, look, we were talking about Rangers
Lee,
just earlier.
look at that side. Logan, Gray in there with McGregor, Hanlon,
Fraser Fivey,
Fontaine, Lewis Stevenson, Fraser Fivey, Dylan McGeoch, John McGinn, Anthony Stokes,
Good
Jason
players,
Cummings, all good players. Liam Henderson come on as a second half sub. Marvin Bartley was there. Martin Boyle was in the subs bench. James Keatings. I mean, that's a good team.
That is a good team. But going back to my point, we're talking about, I know it's a smaller scale, but the amount of players that have come through for the academy and into Hibs first team and then been sold on for money it's probably one of the best maybe in the country have been the last maybe 15 years, 20 years.
Yeah.
I might be wrong in saying that, but with some of the players that they've produced have been brilliant. And you look at what we were talking about Rangers, I know it's a different environment potentially to come into, but it shows it can be done. So,
do you know what my favourite part of the day was, Ruffy? And they brought on a sub who was a fabulous player, played for Motherwell, also played for Celtic and Manchester United. He came on as a sub in the second half. For Manchester United.
Was this yesterday?
Yeah.
Give me the teams.
Brian McClare.
Unbelievable. It was
Brian McClare
there. It was as if Ernest Hemingway had walked
Gandalf at Lord of the Rings.
Honestly, the only thing missing was the staff.
Still get that big.
He just doesn't give a hoot, honestly. He walked onto the park, socks down to his ankles, the big Santa Claus beard, the grey hair.
What a guy.
And the only thing that was missing was, if there had been a river there, he would have been able to part it and everybody would be able to walk right through it. I mean, he was unbelievable. He had three kicks with the ball, and it was, you know, when it was coming towards you, just a wee flick and walked away. I mean,
do you remember the Cantona goal where he's chipped it and he went away and done that with his collar? It was him that set that up.
Yeah, but can I just say something to you? £850,000. Brian McClare was magnificent. Fergie loved him. If you were talking about your top 20 all-time strikers that Alex Ferguson worked with, we mentioned Frank McDougall last week. McClare, I think, is top 10, possibly top 5.
Yeah, well, he's another one of these strikers with chase a paper bag on a windy day. You know, he just wouldn't give up anything into the corners. You know, he was superb. But was he the after dinner speaker at the end?
No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. Now, you're going to have to let this go. The reason why he's saying that is Brian McClare was at a dinner we were at one night, right? So Ruffy and I we sit at the top table. Craig Brown's there, right? So Craig Brown's there. We're sitting having a chat. McClare's on my right-hand side. And Brian...
Get the early bit of it.
Well,
the early bit is when the boy from Durham Chapel comes up and says, "Great to have you here, Brian." He was the youth was director of Scotland Academy.
Yeah.
And he says to Brian, "Great for you to be here. Could you go up and say a few words?" He went, "No."
Right, that's the first thing. The second part of this now, by the way, I like him because he's got a really dry sense of humour, right? So he's wearing what can only be described as a grandpa's cardigan. It's brown. I mean, honestly, he looked like he was one of those guys that you'd buy him a fish supper, right? And he had the hair all over the place. And then, as if to actually put the icing on the cake, he just leans over and he just let us, "When you start speaking, I'll be leaving." Ruffy. And by the way, Ruffy stands up and McClare gets up. He walks off the stage. Honestly, it was the funniest thing ever. You know, it was just the way he said it, and he just could not care. But listen,
he's obviously heard the Jim Leighton story.
He's heard it all. It was, by the way, can I just say something? I loved watching him as a player. I thought he was absolutely brilliant. But even funnier now when you get the attitude. But he sauntered onto the park yesterday, and it was great to see him. Just before we finish, we always like to talk about sporting integrity, although I often say to you, Ruffy, there's no sporting integrity. There's certainly no moral compass at times because money talks. What did you make of the England fans booing Jordan Henderson?
Outrageous, you know. I hate that when somebody is giving service to the club or a national team or whatever, and certain segment of the fans, for whatever reason. I mean, I scratch my head sometimes and wonder why. What goes into their mindset that they feel as if they've got to do that to somebody who's probably played for their team for a long, long time.
Peter, why did Jordan Henderson not just come out when he moved there and just say, "I went for money"? Why is he coming out? He came out at the start and said, "I'm going to improve the league. I'm going to, make him a better team." And why didn't he just come out and say, "Listen, I went for money"? And I think he had got a lot of people just off his back, but he actually keeps sticking to that.
Well,
just saying he came out for money.
I think I don't think it's a case of. I don't think the overriding factor here was the fact that he didn't declare that he was going out there for the money. I think the overriding factor was his support of the LGBTQ community, and then to get to a situation where you've suddenly it's being portrayed as an act of betrayal by suddenly going to a country where, quite simply, if you were declared as declaring yourself gay, you would be arrested, Lee. So in that country, so he's gone to that country. So it's against what he's been backing. He's been vocal in his backing of the LGBTQ community. So to suddenly then go to a country which has not got a great reputation for human rights, and certainly, has a situation where they frown upon anybody who declares themselves as gay. I think that's
that was his control, though.
That's the over. No, well, the point is, if you've got a point of principle where you back a community, you back the stance on people having the right and the freedom, not only to be held as equal, but to be able to openly say you're a gay person. If you suddenly are backing these people and then you're going to a country where the human rights is in question, I think that was the overriding thing. The flip side of it, and the additional point is, as Tam mentioned, he's going there for the money.
Yes, I can see the both sides. I can see why he get booed. When you look at it like that, then if he's standing up and speaking for something that he believes in, then he's going to a country that sort of contradicts that.
Yeah, hypocrisy.
I get it. I get why he's getting booed. But at the same time, coming out and saying, maybe I've went here solely for the money, might have took a little bit of pressure away from that situation.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe not.
I don't think it would have. I don't think it mattered anyway what he was getting paid, Ruffy. You know, and I think off the back of that as well, there was a situation where he said, you know, obviously wanted to try and go and develop the game, maybe change attitudes over there. I don't think Jordan Henderson would change attitudes over there or indeed influence anyone. It needs a collective approach. But, you know, if a country has that as part of their DNA, their makeup, we don't agree with it.
Yeah, but did you think most of the supporters you've told us why? Do you think they were booing because of that?
Yeah, that's exactly why they were booing.
Well, how many of them? What are we talking about?
Well, I can't quote. I can't.
20,000.
Enough for Gareth Southgate, the England manager, to comment and say, by the way, you know, really. Now he's obviously going to defend this player.
Absolutely.
And I think at the end of the day, you know, it's not for me to declare the rights and wrongs of it. It's me to highlight the fact that this is why he was booed. And as you say, Tam, I think there's a lot of players. He's not the first.
700 grand a week he's on.
He certainly won't be the.
Waiting there for money.
I know, but he certainly won't be the last player, and he's certainly not the last player to go and join a community to play somewhere where it doesn't have a great human rights issue.
Yeah, that's, you know, as a football player, I think the first thing you're looking at is how much money am I getting.
Yeah,
that's maybe not the correct thing to say, but that is what you're looking for as a player.
Venues have got human rights issues. Whatever you take a World Cup, it's got some issues.
Yeah, well, listen, this is the point of it all. But we live in a world now where, you know, if you are going out and making a stance and backing someone, and then all of a sudden you go to a country which is against an organisation that you've been proactive in backing, it's seen as a bit of hypocrisy. And of course the money talks the morals, and of course your stance on it certainly has been frowned upon. They have every right to boo him. Whether it's right or wrong, it's what we're all talking about. It goes back to what we're talking about at the moment.
It's really that big a deal, him getting booed.
Well, it's like the Green Brigade. You get booed every week, obviously for other reasons. It certainly wasn't money. But Ruffy, it goes back to the Green Brigade, you know, saying they've got a democratic right to put those banners up. The difference with that situation is if you put a banner up and it breaks rules and you get the club fined, the club has a dilemma.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the club knows that itself. It's been very vocal and coming out and telling them not to do it because this is what's going to happen. And at the end of the day, the more punishments you get, at the end of the day, they're not going to be in the stadium because they'll just get banned.
Yeah.
You know, and so
it's an ongoing situation. Listen, sport, politics, all of it, it all mixes. It's linked. You can't separate them. We'd love to, and just look at sport as an isolated, you know, game that we love, and people can play it without getting involved in the politics of it. But sadly, the way the world is now, you know, people have that democratic right and they want to exercise it, whether there are consequences at the end of it. You know, it's an ongoing situation, certainly not just in Scotland, but right across the globe. The biggest question I've got, and it's a real worrying one before we go, Lee, is if we do take the PLZ bus to Germany, do you expect to be paid for the days that you're not
No.
That's the type of team players. There you are, and look, there he is.
Are we working every day?
No.
There you go.
There you go. What about yourself, eh?
I would be expected.
Yeah, exactly. And you see,
he's meant it, but
see, and that is why there's only 3 pundits.
Hey! You tried to patch me there last time, and Barry was here.
We can't patch him, can we? Who?
No.
We can't patch him.
No, not at all.
He's got to go, has he?
He's got to.
I think everybody's got to go. It's not my call, but see, we're talking about a Scotland team that's shown togetherness and everybody pulling in the one direction.
Yeah.
I think
the entire PLZ squad.
Yeah. Everybody bar
Lenny?
Everybody bar on.
Lenny?
Aye. Why not? What's up? What's up with Lenny?
We must need to have 2 submachine gunners and a sniper. just to keep us all
right,
safe.
Lenny can fly over.
The SAS is a bus behind us.
Do you remember we used to have Christmas parties and we couldn't go anywhere without security for Barry? Two of us standing next to him just in case some. But you're not an offensive person. But some people just didn't like him, did they not?
No, I can imagine. We had a couple of nights out and we were just standing at the bar and people would come up and just voice whatever they want. It's just when Barry goes, what?
Just shut up, Barry.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We obviously don't know where we're going to be staying because it's a vast area. I'd like to put forward first that we stay in Hamburg. It seems quite a nice place.
Aye, because I
Are you not actively looking for a bus though? Appeal for somebody that would want some services?
We're looking for a kind of what I would say is a kind of a pop, tour bus. That's what we're looking for, isn't it? So there you are. We'll get the feelers out for that and see if we can all make it to Germany. It's going to be.
Claire Grogan's got one.
It's going to be one heck. It's going to be one heck of a. I don't know where he's going with that, but anyway, Claire, if you're listening, we don't need your tour bus. We're going to find one. Hopefully you've enjoyed the show. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. If you download the app, you get all the breaking stories at your fingertips. Thank you to so many of you listening to our podcast, enjoying the crack, and of course, we love the beautiful game. We'll have the women's football show on this week. Paul Lambert is Straight Talk. We've got some fantastic guests coming up on the Straight Talk show. The Journals continues this week, and thank you to so many of you for messaging and saying how much you're enjoying the variety of our content. And of course, Lee will be back with us on Friday. From Ruffy, Lee, and from Tam McManus and myself, Peter Martin, thank you for listening and watching.